Welcome to Mind Shield. We protect the mind and pursue the truth. Let's get started.
All right, let's talk about building that mind shield to protect ourselves online. But what if the biggest threats aren't what you think they are? Today, we're going to map out how so-called invisible harassment actually rides on very visible infrastructure, your accounts, your data, and how it all connects. So, let me ask you something. When you think about a major digital attack, what pops into your head? Some super complex malware, right? Or maybe one of those zero-day exploits you hear about in the news? And yeah, those are definitely real. But the most powerful weapon, the one that gets used all the time, it's probably something you look at every single day. It's your password reset page. Seriously, that forgot password link? It sounds almost silly, right? But the most boring, everyday parts of our digital lives, those are the front doors for really sophisticated long-term harassment campaigns. They're basically the unlocked back doors to our digital homes. Okay, so how does an attacker get from some random piece of public data all the way into your private inbox? In this first part, we're going to trace that exact path. We're mapping out the whole attack, from that impersonal data collection to deeply, deeply personal harassment. You know, a typical digital attack, it's not random. It follows a pretty clear, logical path. It all starts with these huge data leaks. Then they use that to target a specific person, which then escalates to them taking over accounts. And the final step? Applying direct psychological pressure. It's a method, a process designed to totally dismantle someone's sense of security. Let's break down exactly how it works. Step 1 kicks off right here, in these huge, anonymous marketplaces on the dark web. In this incident, this is a perfect example. It's just staggering. We're talking about 86 million customer records in one go, and nearly half of those had social security numbers. Your personal information, my personal information, it's just bundled up and sold like any other product. And the sheer scale of it is what makes basically anyone a potential target. So once an attacker gets their hands on that data, it's like a key that unlocks a whole toolbox of ways to get into your life. They use that info to pull off account takeovers, and as this guide to combating hacking points out, we're not just talking about one single method. It's a whole range of things, from just guessing your password, all the way to really complex social engineering, and even, get this, compromising the smart devices in your own home to listen in or just cause chaos. And this is the part that is just so deeply unsettling. When they combine data from a bunch of different leaks and get access to several of your accounts, an attacker can create this terrifying illusion that they know everything about you. And that feeling of being completely exposed, that's the real weapon. That's what they use for intimidation, for blackmail, for just pure psychological abuse. Okay, so faced with that kind of onslaught, what on earth are you supposed to do? This brings us to the most important part of this whole explainer, the solution. The absolute key to fighting back is to build a lawful, super meticulous, and totally defensible evidence locker. So, what's the number one takeaway here? It's documentation. Your first and honestly your most powerful defense is to document everything. The guidance is crystal clear on this. You need a detailed, ongoing log of every single incident. That is the bedrock of any legal case. It's what turns that vague feeling of being harassed into a concrete pattern of provable actions. But what does documentation really mean day to day? It means you save everything. You have to think of yourself as a digital crime scene investigator, collecting every little breadcrumb, every nasty email, every weird login alert, every single unexplained change to your account settings. All of it is part of a bigger evidence trail that investigators can actually follow. In this table here from the Modern Threat Source, it really shows why saving everything is so vital. See, different kinds of attacks leave behind different kinds of evidence. A network malware attack, that might leave unusual traffic logs. But a digital gaslighting campaign, and that's where an attacker messes with your digital world to make you think you're going crazy, that might leave clues in your smart thermostat logs. Knowing what to look for is half the battle. All right, so you've done the hard work. You've collected this mountain of evidence. We're talking hundreds of emails, maybe thousands of log entries. How in the world do you make sense of it all? This is where modern tools, and specifically AI, can be a huge help, but, and this is a big but, only in a way that is lawful and defensible. The main and frankly the safest way to use AI in a legal context is something called log summarization, and it's really, really important to understand what this is and what it isn't. You are not asking an AI, hey, who did this? No. You're using algorithms to chew through these massive volumes of data to simply find the patterns and flag the weird stuff that a human might otherwise miss. This is really the perfect way to think about the relationship between AI and a human investigator. The AI? It's incredible at summarizing data, at clustering events into a neat timeline, and at surfacing anomalies. But it is always the human's job to provide the context, to draw the actual conclusions. And this is crucial, to always cite the original piece of evidence. And that brings us to the single most important rule of all this. AI is a powerful assistant for sifting through your evidence. It is not a replacement for the evidence itself. It can point you to the needle in the haystack, but in court, the only thing that matters is the needle, the original log file, the original screenshot. The AI summarizes, the original logs are the proof. That distinction, it's absolutely everything.
So there you have it. You now know how to map the attack and build a solid, defensible audit trail of what's already happened. But that brings up the next big question, right? How do you actively monitor what's happening right now without tipping off the attacker or accidentally messing up your own investigation? Well, we're going to dive into exactly that in our next explainer.